Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting David Creel, a coach and mentor who specializes in helping people uncover their blind spots and create infinite possibilities. David's unique gift lies in guiding individuals to gain clarity, take action, and achieve greatness in both their personal and professional lives. How you doing today, David?
I am blessed and highly favored. Thanks for having me. It's going to be awesome.
No, I was excited to have you on. I liked our conversation the other day. You're doing some pretty cool things, so I figured more people should know you. But to start off, where are you calling in from?
I live southeast of Houston, about 20 minutes, Houston, Texas, in a little town called Deer Park, not a little town, a town called Deer Park, Texas. It's about 20 minutes southeast of Houston.
Awesome. Are you a lifer in Texas? Are you newer to the area?
I was born 10 minutes that way, and I grew up 5 minutes that way. So,
I got you. So you're pretty used to the Texas. For people that have never been, if you have friends coming into town that have never been there, where are you taking them? What are you doing? And where are you guys going for dinner?
if you've never been, don't come in July and August. It's not recommended. It's rather warm, and the humidity is about 800%. But if you come the rest of the year, more than likely you can have shorts on. So we would do, you'd have to go see the San Jacinto Monument, which is about 5 minutes this way. I think it's the largest, it's like the largest monument in the world or something like that. It's gigantic. And so that, and then, oh, we'd have to go get a steak, of course.
I got you.
The biggest fillet on the menu, medium, please.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. What kind of steak? So, yeah, that's a solid one. That's awesome. You had me sold with the largest filet on the menu. So, all right.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. That's my go-to.
so, what can you tell us about what you do?
Well, another way of thinking about blind spots is how we show up automatic and predictable in our lives. Because whenever you show up automatic and predictable, you're doing the same thing you've always done because that's what you've always done. But once you become aware that you don't have to show up automatic and predictable, you can choose to show up differently, which might change things. So, I think we talked about this last time, but if not, we'll do it again, or if we did or we didn't. For yourself and the listeners, think about who sends you the most text messages in a given day or week or month. So, Anthony, who would that be for you?
Oh, either my girlfriend or my mom. They're always blowing my phone up.
Okay, so for this example, which one do you want for this example?
We'll just say girlfriend.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so girlfriend sends you a text right now, and it flashes on your screen where you see it, but you can't answer because you're talking to me. And for the listeners or viewers, put yourself in this scenario too. Your girlfriend sends you a text message that says, "We need to talk." What's your first gut instinct or reaction?
And she's bringing home another cat.
Exactly. Okay, so maybe it's not that extent. And my guess is you probably, with the way you said it, you probably don't want another cat, everything else being equal. So if I lined up 100 people and asked them the same question, 99 of them would give some form or flavor of what you just said. Something not ideal or not something not great. And the other person would be lying. So in that exact example, if you notice, the text message didn't say, "We need to talk. I got another cat." It just says, "We need to talk." So how many times do we show up automatic and predictable when the text message simply says, "We need to talk"? Let me tell you an example. Several years ago, I had kidney stones. If you've never had it, I would not recommend it. It's the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. And the nurse told me, the doctor's assistant told me to go get my x-rays on my kidney and then come back, and they said, we'll only contact you if something's wrong. I was like, okay. So I go and get my x-ray, and 4, 5, 6 days later, I see their number on my phone. Okay. Now, mind you, the last info I had is we'll only call you if there's a problem. I look at the phone. I have not answered the phone yet. It's simply ringing. On my first ring, it's, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. On the second ring, uh-oh, I'm in major trouble. Third ring, I've got a football in one of my kidneys. Fourth ring, I might not make it to sunup tomorrow morning. I got to get my will and everything in order. Then I answer the phone and they say, hey, everything looks great. Just letting you know. So I went through all these mental gymnastics of the absolute worst case scenario when I simply could have just answered the phone and see what they said. And I wouldn't have to go through all that, 20 or 30 seconds of anxious thoughts because I was showing up automatic and predictable. So I would challenge you to start thinking about where you show up automatic and predictable in your life. And once you become aware of it, then you can choose to do something different.
So what got you started doing this? Nobody, in my experiences was in high school and says, that's the field I want to go. It's always something kind of leads you into it that you didn't quite expect. So how'd you end up here?
Well, in a previous life, I was a lab tech testing petrochemicals, and I was on 4 days on, 4 days off, straight nights. And around 2008, I started reading when I was bored at work or we hadn't had a slow night. And I started reading personal development books, and I've been reading since then. I read, a book or two a month, depending on how long the books are. And I got an email. I was on Tom Ziegler's email list, which is Zig Ziglar's son, who runs the Ziegler Corporation, back in December of 2019. And they were introducing the Ziegler Choose to Win coaching program on a webinar. And I knew how it went. They're going to give value and then they're going to make an offer. Well, 5 minutes into the webinar, I realized what I'd basically been doing my whole life was coaching people. I just didn't know what it was called. So since January of 2020 to now, I've been a professional coach. So that revelation was, it was cool because whenever I was in the lab, I knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to be a lab tech for the rest of my life. I just didn't know what that thing was. And then, like I said, on that webinar, I found out. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. So that's how I got here.
Awesome. What do you think your favorite thing is that you're doing since, you've been doing it for 4 years now, going on 5? What's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is getting myself out of the way and getting the person who's in front of me to realize that they have greatness within them. It just may be lying dormant or hasn't been used in a while, but once the light bulb goes off, it's the greatest thing ever, because I'm not the hero. The person I'm speaking to is the hero, but sometimes the hero can't become the hero that they're born and destined to be until a guide comes along and says, no, this is the path, not this, or, keeps you on the path. And once they realize that, it's game over, because they had it in there the whole time. But life is sometimes difficult, and sometimes you just need to know that someone has your back. And more than likely whatever you're thinking about is not going to be fatal, because we have a fear of failure or success or judgment or criticism or whatever. But for the most part, the things we do on a daily basis isn't going to result in death. And you'll do whatever it is, even though it's uncomfortable or unfamiliar. And then you wake up the next day and the sun's still coming up in the east. And if the sun's not coming up in the east, we're not really going to be having this discussion. We're going to have bigger issues.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so you've been self-employed for years now. You started at a really, a crazy time in the world there in 2020, and you've helped a lot of other entrepreneurs. What is one thing that if you could go back and tell yourself starting out, or what you would start another entrepreneur starting out their business to kind of look out for? What advice would you give them?
It can't be all about the money. Obviously money is important. We live in an economic planet and it's very difficult to do things without money. But if you take your eyes off of the money aspect and you focus on serving the person in front of you to the best of your ability, the money will take care of itself. Because whenever, like, I also have owned and operated a pressure washing business since 2015, so I'm a decade into that. I've had almost 2,100 jobs that I've personally done, and it's once people realize that to you they're a person and not an object or a target or a number, things tend to go better. Because whenever you know people have a certain problem and you know that you can help them or you can solve this problem for them, if they want that problem solved bad enough, you can basically charge whatever you want to charge. But if they don't know or aren't aware of this problem, you can have kind of a longer tail game, because if they're not aware this is a problem, and it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, I really like that because your metric isn't how much it makes you. That's you find a metric that matters, and then the money's a byproduct, right? So, because if money's your metric, you're never going to have enough because somebody's always going to have more. But if it's I'm going to try and talk to this many people, meet this many people, help this many people this week, this month, this day, whatever it is, money, like you said, it takes care of itself, and that's right there with the Zig Ziglar mentality. Help enough people get what they want, you get what you want, right? So.
Right. Well, but think about it. You could have all the money in the whole world. You could have Elon Musk money or Jeff Bezos money. I've heard it said this way: money can buy you a house, but it can't make it a home. And money can buy you a bed, but it can't buy you a good night's sleep. And money can buy you friends, but it can't buy you deep, meaningful relationships. Because there are some things that money can't buy. No matter how much money you have, you might not wake up tomorrow. Well, there's no U-Hauls on the other side of this thing. It's going to be left here, So, and like you said accurately, if you're always going after more money, you're never content with what you do have. You're always focused on what you don't have. And I've heard it said from someone, comparison is the thief of joy, and there comes a point where you have enough money, like you're good, but if that's all you're motivated for, then people aren't people to you, they become objects, which is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. How many yachts do you need to ski behind, really? So
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
So, what would you say your average client looks like, or what are some pain points that they have in common that if they're going through XYZ, you're the person that they should be talking to?
Um, I made a matrix called the blind spot matrix, and I think you have it. If not, I'll get it to you, and you can
Mhm.
send it in the after show stuff. But basically, someone who's stuck in busy work or in analysis paralysis. Busy work is doing a lot of things but not really moving the ball forward. Analysis paralysis is, uh, you know, aim, 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 and never actually pull the trigger and fire. So the when you have high clarity and high action, you're in precision execution. But if you're in busy work or analysis paralysis, something is in the way that you can't see that's blocking you from getting to that precision execution. And then another one to consider besides busy work and analysis paralysis is stagnation. Now that stagnation one is a little bit tricky because I don't know if you want to talk to me and I don't know if I want to talk to you because it might be like pulling teeth. Because I talked to somebody a couple weeks ago and she was interested. We were having a conversation. She was interested in maybe pursuing, a one-on-one coaching relationship container. And I felt like she needed to do some more internal work first, like work on herself. And I gave her a couple resources to do that. And she said, well, I thought you were going to do that for me. And I said, how could something external fix something internal? So that needs to be kind of like a your deal. And she's like, oh yeah, that makes more sense because regardless, the old phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him take a drink. So but yeah, I would say mostly busy work. If you're stuck in busy work and you don't know what's blocking you from getting to maybe the IPA's income producing activities, because some of the things, the busy work, maybe you shouldn't be doing them in the first place. Maybe someone else could be doing them, or they don't need to be done by anyone. And then if you're in analysis paralysis, it's you have so many ideas, but it's like Zig Ziglar called you. You might be a wandering generality instead of a meaningful specific. Like you can't be world class at 15 different things. There's no chance. But yeah, those two really, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But like we talked about earlier, blind spots, you can't see them or they wouldn't be in your blind spots. But just because you can't see them doesn't mean myself or someone else can't see them because we're not you. We're just looking at the problem. We're not involved in the problem. So that would be my answer to that.
Okay. Well, because you can't be world class at, 15 different things, what do your average power partners look like? What are other industries or other professionals that you might have really good luck collaborating with?
Um, I've done stuff with other coaches. I've done stuff um, with various industries. One of my clients right now, she builds custom Lego houses for people, meaning like the house that she builds you is to not to scale, but it's a mini replica of the house you're currently sitting in. It's your house and it's a Lego house. So um, I'm always looking for um, people to refer to other people, because I can't uh, or don't want to try to talk to every single person in the whole world. That would be a really, really, really long week. And I only speak English, so about half the world goes away anyway. But anyone who I refer people to, with somebody like if my pressure washing business, somebody says, "Hey, do you know a roofer?" Yeah, so I'll give them two or three roofers. Somebody will say, "Hey, we're looking to sell our house. Do you have a realtor?" I happen to know several. Do you know a builder? I know some of them people too. Do you have a plumber? I have a plumber. So whenever people are saying, I need help in this area, if I can help, then I will tell them. But almost certainly I can't, because I can barely hammer a nail. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what's coming up. I'm just, whenever someone says, hey, do you know anybody in this? I'll try to find someone. And then I'll just refer them and they can go do whatever it is that they need, to do. So yeah, that's my answer.
I got you. Awesome. How can identifying and addressing a blind spot help people unlock their true potential?
Well, by definition, a blind spot is there's something there that you can't see, or it wouldn't be in your blind spot. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, because it's there. If everybody else and their mother can see it and you can't see it, well, maybe you're the problem. The good thing about you being the problem is you're also the solution. For example, let's say one of your friends starts dating this new girl, and you see it from 100 yards away that this girl is just like the girl before, and the girl before, and the girl before, and the girl before, and you tell him, hey, hey friend, how's it going with new girl? Oh, she's great, but you already see it and he doesn't see it. He's blind to the truth because it's in his blind spot. Then if it goes the way the previous girls go and they get divorced, he comes to you and he says, hey, why didn't you tell me? And you say, I told you for the last 3 months, every single time I saw you. But they weren't open to hearing about it. So if something is blocking them, that could be this thing that's in the way to getting to the next level of success, whatever that looks like to them. But until you become aware of what's there that you can't see, it's difficult to move forward sometimes because something's in the way that you can't see.
Okay. What steps can somebody take to gain that clarity and take action toward their goals?
Well, the first thing is you've got to have a date on whatever it is. Say you want to lose 10 pounds. Great. By when? Like, by July 4th, by Christmas, by 2030? Because you remember those old Mission Impossible movies where the fuse was lit in the opening scene? Until there's an actual date on the calendar, that fuse is never lit. Because what I hear most times is someday or one day. Well, I've never seen a calendar that has someday and one day on it. Like all the calendars I've ever seen goes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then rolls back to Monday. So the first thing is pick a date, because that lights the fuse. Let's say you want to write a book and you want to write a 200-page book, okay? And you say, I want the book to be ready Christmas Day 2025. Okay, well, it's January 27th. You could go to Google or ChatGPT or whoever and say, hey, how many more days is it until Christmas? And I know it's not, but just for this example, let's say it was 200 days away. Okay, I'm just making this up. Well, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out if it's 200 days away and you want to write a 200-page book, you need to write a page a day. And if you write a page a day, then in 200 days, your 200-page book's done. And another thing I would suggest is sometimes we get overwhelmed when we try to take on too much. So my encouragement would be to take the smallest possible step today. For example, today is the 27th day of the year. So let me see. I started a new morning routine on January 1st of 2023. And this is the 27th day of 2025. So on my morning routine, I am 758 for 758. I have not missed a single day since January 1st of 2023. 365 days then, 366 days last year because we got an extra day because of the leap year, and so far 27 days this year. Now, if you'd have told me on 12/30 of 2022 or 12/31, hey, you're going to go 753 for 753, I'd have told you you're nuts because it's too big for me to handle and grasp. So I don't. Whenever I have my morning routine, I'm only committed to doing it today. Only and exclusively. Now, if I live to wake up tomorrow, I'm committed to doing it tomorrow too, but I'm only committed to doing it once, which takes all the pressure off, breaking the goal down to the smallest possible thing, because I can't do a morning routine on Wednesday on Tuesday. That it's literally impossible. But I can do my morning routine on Tuesday because I've already done it today. So I would say set a goal, put a date on the calendar when it's going, whatever your widget or your book or I'm going to lose weight or whatever, put a date on the calendar when it is going to happen and take the smallest possible step you can today. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm 1% better. Well, if you're 1% better every single day, you're not going to recognize yourself in 3 or 6 months. You'd be a completely different person. For example, if you're going to get on a plane and you were in LA and you're going to fly to New York, if that plane was 1% off the entire trip, you're not going to land in New York. You're going to land in wherever, Boston or Virginia or wherever you're going to land, okay? But think if you're going to go from LA to Scotland and you're 1% off. Well, you're going to be in another country. Like you're going to be like closer to London, England instead of Scotland. So given enough time, 1% makes a massive difference. Massive. Given time, you won't see a 1% difference going from here to the end of the driveway. But if I walk from my house to your house and I was 1% off, I guarantee you I'm not going to end up on your front door. I promise you.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic advice, and I think a lot of us need that. Put it into bite-sized, manageable bits. I always go back to a book that I read a while ago. It's the most important step a man can take is always the next one. So take that one step at a time. And it sounds cliche because it's absolutely true, right? The things that are
Well,
cliche are true.
yeah, I heard this just a couple weeks ago. A lot of people seeing how it's January and a lot of people are maybe getting into a health routine or whatever. I heard this. The heaviest weight you'll ever lift is the door to the gym. Because once you're there, I mean, okay, well, I'm here. Let's get after it, So, and then somebody asked, I had a challenge at the gym I go to a couple days ago, and I shared what my results were with somebody else who also goes to a different gym, the same gym in a different city. And she said, did you give it your best effort? And I said, it wasn't my absolute best, but it was my absolute best that I had today. And sometimes that's enough.
Yep, absolutely. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Nothing's coming to mind.
Well, I'm sure people have more questions because there's a lot out there, and we could spend a lot of time on any one of the subjects we've covered. For people that want to do that, where can they find you? How can they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is davidcreel.com, DavidCreel. It's got links to my podcast, YouTube channel, my phone number, email. If you can't figure out how to get a hold of me from davidcreel.com, I don't really know how else to help you other than that. I mean, it's readily available right there.
Perfect. And I'm going to make it even easier. I'm just going to put it in the description, so you just have to click on it. You don't have to try and spell it out. So, yeah,
Yeah, there you
if
go.
anybody would like to get a hold of David, absolutely do it. You're going to walk away knowing more than you do now. You're going to have a clear goal. You owe it to yourself to be your best self. So, reach out, have that conversation. You can also reach out to me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with awesome people like David in our growing community. If you or somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But David, I really appreciate you taking the time and pouring into us. There's a lot more here, we're just scratching the surface. So more people should reach out. Let's all go have an awesome day and grow our circles. All right.
Thanks a lot. I greatly appreciate it. It was a blast.